Oh,
Happy Monday, and welcome to today's edition of Pop Culture Power. I am your host, Christal XO, and you guys may realize that my background is different. I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I am coming to you all from my bed, okay? It has been a long weekend. It has been a trying and challenging weekend. And so I am literally coming to you guys from the bed. But I thought, you know what? I've had a rough weekend. I've had a productive but rough weekend. And I thought instead of just, not showing up, let me just be honest with the EXO family and just come to them from my comfort, the bed. And that is where I'm at. I'll explain a little bit more about why I am here. But first of all, welcome, welcome. Come on in and have a seat. Maybe you guys are watching from your bed. If you are, put a XO in the chat if you are watching from your bed. If not, I thank you for tuning in anyway. And I just wanted to be 100% honest with you guys. There are no lights, there's no makeup. It is just Christal from the bed. But I want to say thank you to my own family that sent me this. Oh my gosh, I think I love comforters. I love like blankets and comforters, anything that makes you feel comfy and cozy. And my own family sent me this own monogrammed like sheepskin blanket. And they also sent me a pair. And I just spilled it. I just spilled my drink on this. A pair of these little own monogrammed mugs with the little spoon. That is adorable, right? Anyway, yes. Nothing better than a cocoa mug and a warm blanket. So thank you so much to Own for sending me that Christmas gift that I opened early because I was like, I need something. It was a rough week. A rough weekend, rather. Actually, it was a beautiful weekend and just had some tragedy attached to it. If you guys follow the channel, you may know that this weekend I had the honor of celebrating Social Justice Weekend here in Atlanta with Benjamin Crump. My PR agency was hired to provide publicity support for the weekend. It started on Friday with Jokes for Justice. It was a comedy show. And then on Saturday, there was a day party. And of course, it was a celebration bowl here in Atlanta. So it was, a lot of people out, trying to have a good time, specifically people that have attended HBCUs and are part of that. And I got to tell you, I always have HBCU envy during this time because I did not have that experience at all. I went to the University of Oklahoma, and I was just talking with a former classmate of mine that came in town for a friend's birthday. And our experience at a PWI, predominantly white institution, it was so different than those peers of mine that went to HBCU. So I am always a little bit jealous of you, especially for weekends like this. And you see, all the camaraderie and the fellowship that is there with HBCUs. But that was on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we had an amazing social justice honors brunch where we honored Don Lemon. Of course, Benjamin Crump actually put it on. He honored so many different Jamal Bryant, Tyrese, and several other activists in the Teslan, from Revolt, just so many different people from that are part of the social justice fight. And it was an honor to be in that room. We actually presented an award to Benjamin Crump himself and Tyrese and Don Lemon. I gotta say, Don Lemon was the most gracious, genuine person. I really enjoyed interviewing him and talking to him and honoring him. And Benjamin Crump, the same, just extremely gracious to everyone. And it's so impressive to me when you see people that are at the top of their game and they're out there doing the work and they still are invested in helping others in real time. Like that's so amazing to me. When you see people that are, just not so full of themselves that they can't, too into their own, you know, excellence to be able to appreciate something in someone else. And I will say about both Benjamin Crump and Don Lemon, what was so amazing about honoring them is the fact that they were so gracious to others in the room. And there were some other people that weren't quite like that, but we won't go into that. It was an amazing weekend, but obviously it was a lot of work. And then literally an hour after I finished the brunch, we were there, like got there at 9 a.m., worked until around 3:30, and then got a call that my children's grandfather had passed. He was probably the only father that I had ever known. Literally, it passed just then. And so it has been a very difficult weekend, to say the least, between the work and then hearing that news and my heart hurting for him, but then also for my children who just lost their grandfather. It's been a very difficult weekend, and that's why I'm kind of in the bed. But I had to make sure that I was here with you guys for today because we had some stuff that we needed to talk about. And quite honestly, it makes me feel better to, talk to other people, and hopefully I can put a smile on someone else's face, which will put a smile on my face as well. So we're going to get into it and have some fun. Hey, Linda. Hey, Tisha. If you guys are there, please let me know. Trust me, I need that energy today more than ever. So if you are watching this, like I said, if you're in a comfortable place like me, if you're kind of snuggled up in the bed, or if you're at home, just let me know where you're watching Pop Culture Power from, and we'll do it like that. Is that fair? Let me know where you guys are tuned in from. I am actually tuned in straight from the bed. Straight from the bed today. Oh, thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you so much. In the bed. That's what's up, Ebony. I love it. I am literally in the bed. And I know you had a very busy weekend as well. So sending love from the couch. Thank you, Linda. I receive all of that love, all of that love. And before I go into tonight's conversation, I do want to say about my father-in-law. Divorce can be difficult. Divorce can be very difficult because you kind of lose your family. But I was married in my first marriage for 13 years. And so this man was my father, for 13 years and even beyond. We had a beautiful relationship. He was an amazing man. And as I, was around so much Black excellence on yesterday, it occurred to me as I got the phone call right after I left that I had the honor and the privilege of having Black excellence within my reach. He was my father, and he was a wonderful example of that. Born in Louisiana, very humble beginnings, and rose up, was just brilliant and hardworking and humble, but yet proud, and taught, it was just an amazing person. Rose up through the military ranks to lieutenant colonel, was an officer for years, an amazing husband, amazing father, amazing grandfather. And yes, he definitely left an amazing legacy for my children. When I look at my children, I see that legacy in them, and I think, not to get too preachy and to wrap up, because you guys know, I can be somebody that people say, oh, Christal's too nice, or Christal's too this, but I also, just speaking from my heart, I think it's really important. We were together for 13 years. We went through a very painful divorce. However, it's so important for my children to still be connected to that side. It's so important for my children to still have a connection. And I never tried to make them not. I always wanted them to still be connected. And they have a great relationship with their father now and their grandparents. And so, for a lot of times when people split, they think that they should just hoard the children and not, share the children. And if you do that, you put your children at a disadvantage, right? Because regardless of what happened between me and their father at that time in our lives, right? They needed to have that. They were a part of this amazing legacy, and I'm so thankful that I did not rob them of that. I'm so thankful that they still were involved on both sides and they got love from both sides. And, it was still family, even though it wasn't the same. And I just want to honor him. Um, I see so much of him in my son, and he's going to be missed, but he made such an impact on this world while he was there that I definitely think that it was a life worth living and a life to be proud of. So in any case, that is my spiel for today, and that is why I'm coming to you sans the lights and not in my studio, which is upstairs, but I'm coming to you from the bed because that's where I'm at right now. I am in the bed. So first thing we've got to talk about tonight is the subject matter, which was Remy Ma and Papoose. Now, you guys know, of course, Pop Culture Power, for those of you that may be here for the first time, because I know we didn't do these on Facebook before. So if you are tuning in for the first time, what we do here on Pop Culture Power is we talk about what's happening in pop culture and add a little bit of context to it so that people get a little bit more of the story, right? Because it's important that you get the full context and not just the headline. And it's important for us to just talk a little bit and enjoy, right? Just talk a little bit about what's going on. And so I want to talk about, here we go, Papoose and Remy Ma. I did this article for Collider, but this is after we woke up this past weekend, and even I think on Friday, to the internet going crazy between these two, just basically going back and forth, worse than Cardi B and Offset, which is a whole nother thing. It probably should have been a topic tonight because that's out of control as well. But Papoose and Remy Ma have an interesting history. Now, I may be aging myself, and that's okay because most of our audience, we are, of a particular age, right? So we all know that Remy Ma and Papoose were both like New York MCs from like the 90s, right? Or like late 80s, early 90s. So they both were people that were lyrically talented and had like the credibility of being real MCs. Now, they also, sometimes we say when keeping it real goes wrong, they were not only real, but they also were involved in things that were not necessarily above ground. Remy Ma was involved in a lot of, allegedly involved in a lot of gang activity. And at one point, a friend allegedly stole some money from her and she shot the friend, literally. Um, and not only did she shoot the friend, but then went through the pockets and attempted to get the money back while the young lady was bleeding out, right? And so she ended up going to jail and being in prison for 8 years. Actually, her sentence was double that, but she ended up serving half. So while she went to prison, just the history lesson for those that may not know, she and Papoose, who was like a battle rapper from the streets of Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, they were dating. And then when she went to prison, he actually ended up marrying her while she was in prison and staying by her side. Now, the crazy thing about this, and I think you will appreciate this, hey you here, is that everybody acted like Papoose did something that was so different than any other guy, because we have this idea that if a woman stands by a man, that's normal, right? So if a woman gets married, like for instance, Gucci Mane and his girl. I cannot think of her name right now. It's not important. But Gucci Mane and his wife, actually, it's not his girl, it's his wife, Keisha Kaur. So Keisha Kaur stood by Gucci Mane's side when he went to jail, and we praise that. That's considered being a ride or die chick. She made his life better. Right? Society loves that. But when a man does it, we act like, oh my God, how is this possible? Men don't do that. And we give, people, we just put him on a pedestal because it's just unheard of for a man to love a woman like that, which is crazy. But that's also why, we live in a very patriarchal world. So if a man does, one thing, we consider that like he's amazing. And a woman can be doing things all the time, getting cheated on and treated badly, but she's, praised for sticking in there. So, so anyway, he married her while she was in jail. Now, I do want to point out, as I did in my article, he did not take custody of her son. Not that he needed to. I'm just saying, he married her, but it was all very much the relationship. People just start looking at them as like this Bonnie and Clyde. Like, he's so amazing because he stuck by her side. We've never heard any rumors of him cheating on her ever. And most importantly, she was the bigger star. And the fact that he just consistently bigged her up and almost like, how when a woman gets with a man and then she stops doing what she's doing and she completely focuses on him, that happens all the time, right? But in this case, it was reversed. And so Papoose really just kind of put his stuff on the back burner, which could have been because he wasn't as talented or definitely wasn't as commercial, but for whatever reason, he just really pushed her forward and was fine being that man that was totally behind his woman. So Remy Ma gets out in 8 years, and again, their relationship is like the stuff that makes urban myths. Like, they've been together while she's in prison. He's holding her down. They're not necessarily the beautiful people, but they're the people that we think are the real, like they're real. She's talented. He's talented. They're from the streets. They held each other down, blah, 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 blah. So Remy Ma has this huge hit. She ends up doing a feature on Fat Joe's hit Lean Back. That makes her even bigger right now. So because she wasn't really like, she was one of those rappers, female rappers that wasn't really celebrated because she doesn't really have sex appeal. She was okay as far as the lyrics, but I mean, she didn't really have that commercial appeal. She's on this record that ends up being bigger than life, and then she ends up getting on Love and Hip Hop New York. Love and Hip Hop New York. They're excited because they have actual talent that has a popping record. And so they entered Love and Hip Hop, and they were the biggest things. Remy Ma was the biggest thing on there, right? Because usually like real talent doesn't necessarily want to be on reality TV because they're real stars. She gets on Love and Hip Hop and she becomes a bigger star. She's a bigger star. She's also on this record. She has this mystique of doing 8 years in prison. So her character on Love and Hip Hop is kind of like the bully. Like, you don't want to piss Remy Ma off because, look what she did. Look what she did to somebody that pissed her off. So yeah, she was on Annie Up, but still, I'm talking about Lean Back was like the biggest. Like, it was crossover. It was the biggest song ever. The remix that she was on, but she definitely had a lot more notoriety than he did. Also, she was a part of Terror Squad with Fat Joe, which really put her in a different predicament. Papoose was just kind of like the hangers on, somebody that people thought had talent back in the 90s, but didn't really translate. And he was like, just like going hard for his chick. Those situations are always a little strange to me because usually men feel some kind of way when they are constantly in their woman's shadow. But it was years went on and Papoose seemed to be fine. Well, Remy got bigger and bigger. So, the Love and Hip Hop made her more recognizable. And then she did, she adopted the starter kit for female rappers of today. She got her body done. She got a stylist. She started looking different. Still not on the level of like a Nicki Minaj or a Cardi B, but, definitely good for Reminiscence, which is her real name. By the way, if you didn't know, Reminiscence. So Papoose, and he could have been a ghostwriter, but we just know that he didn't have commercial appeal. But he was constantly he was her biggest cheerleader. He was constantly saying people didn't give her props. That was his role, was just like being the hype man, for her, which a lot of people thought was sweet. I was a little suspect of it because I just don't think it works that way, especially when she started to get bigger and bigger and Remy started to kind of be feeling herself. So when you start getting bigger and bigger and you got your body done and you starting to feel yourself, what worked for you then, yesterday's price is not today's price. And so she started thinking she could do a little bit better than Papoose. She's getting a lot more attention. She's getting more opportunities. The next thing we know, there's rumors that Remy Ma is cheating on Papoose. Now, men across the world, men in hip hop did a collective sigh because this is unheard of. Like, the woman is supposed to be grateful that the man held her down, even though he's not successful as she is, even though he's not this. If the situation was reversed, Papoose would have left Remy Ma a long time ago, a long time ago. But we know what this society promotes. So if a woman, a good woman sticks by her man no matter what, and she's grateful. A good man, if he wants to move on, I mean, it's no longer a good fit for him. I mean, look at all the men that when they get a certain level of success, they leave the woman that they're with and they upgrade or not upgrade because it's not a better woman. They just feel like they need a different look. Well, Remy Ma did the same thing. So she allegedly was cheating with this guy. And that came out. A lot of men were upset. It looked kind of crazy because, they had been this Hollywood Bonnie and Clyde for so long. Now, now we're up to speed. Everybody's up to speed. What's up, African Astan? So this past weekend, both Remy Ma and Papoose take to Instagram. Now, usually Papoose is quiet, right? He does not, the only thing he ever utters is praise for Remy. He's not into going back and forth on the internet. He's not like that. He's like a real dude, right? So she goes to the internet and alleges that Papoose is cheating on her. Now wait a minute. Before I do that, before we get to that, let me go ahead and remind you guys that they on Love and Hip Hop, they decided after Remy did 8 years in prison. Now she had one son. After she did 8 years in prison, she gets out. She has this monster hit. She does this makeover. She becomes a bigger, more commercial hit. And then she decides she wants to have a baby. They go through the journey to have a baby. I'm not sure if it was in vitro, but they did a lot to have their daughter. And she actually got pregnant and they had a daughter, right? So again, this endears the fans. The fans are invested. Remy Ma got pregnant. You come home from prison, you get pregnant, you have a hit record. You're now doing real media. Like, she's got crossover fame. It's looking good for them, right? So now the daughter is here. They did that. And then we hear that Remy is cheating. Now we hear that Remy goes to Instagram and accuses Papoose of cheating on her with a boxer, a female boxer, Clarissa Shields. So this is what's interesting about this. So Remy is a girl that beat up other girls and even shot one, right? So she's kind of a tough chick. And then he dates a boxer, right? So he obviously likes being with women that can protect him, provide and protect. He's into that. It's okay. But it's just interesting that he was cheating with a boxer. That's super weird. She was cheating with another rapper, still not as successful as her. But the guy was going back and forth with Papoose. So things got really, really, really ugly online. And Remy actually accused Papoose of being involved in getting her arrested years ago, which is crazy, which doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense at all. All this stuff has been erased. So I'm just bringing you guys up to speed. But she accused him of working with the police to put her in jail the first time. And then, of course, he gets online and says he's not a snitch. He doesn't work with the police. That makes no sense. But really, it doesn't make sense for him to stay by her side after he had her put away. It's kind of super weird. And then, they go back and forth about the fact that she releases text messages. She says that the boxer trying to get him to buy stuff for her. Papoose doesn't have any money. We know that. The money that he had would have come from Love and Hip Hop and Remy Ma. You know what I mean? Like, we know you're not really telling us anything, that you're not really shaming them, and hopefully Papoose at this point in his life is not in the streets. So I don't expect him to be able to really lace Clarissa with stuff, right? Um, so anyway, it was a horrible exchange. And this is my thing. Like, we don't need to see, I don't know why people that are in relationships that are celebrities, or even celebrity adjacent, because I would say Remy Ma is a celebrity, but there are a lot of people that are celebrity adjacent. They're not really, in my eyes, celebrities, but she would definitely be a celebrity. And Clarissa is definitely an athlete. Why are they coming and sharing all this online? It's almost like they want us to pick a side. They want the fans to pick a side. That's weird. Like, we don't need to pick a side. And you have a daughter. So at the point that you are trying to make him look bad and he's trying to make you look bad, you have a daughter together who you shouldn't want to look badly at either of you. It's strange. I said in my piece that I feel like, Remy Ma and Papoose were kind of like the example of the Method Man and Marriage J. Blige record, You're All I Need to Get By, because they really seem like this couple that was fighting against the odds and just, jail and not being hot and just all that. um and maybe the lesson in all this is fame and popularity are not good for a relationship. Maybe we do need to all keep our relationships out of the public. you know Maybe there is something to that, because the fact that you're trying to come online and make him look bad and accusing him of working with the police, that's just super weird. And it's not gangster. And for someone who shot somebody, I would not expect you to be online putting out your business, but it's so strange. And I don't like it. Cardi B and Offset, again, so strange. But at least Cardi B and Offset are like young. Right? They're not young at this point. I mean, Offset just turned 33. They were at his birthday party. They're younger. Papoose and Remy Ma, girl, you got a 20-something-year-old son who's in jail for murder as well. Girl, ma'am, reminiscence, ma'am, go take care of that baby and stop trying to make this man look bad. And again, but we as a culture should stop idolizing and putting people on pedestals. Christal, why are you sitting in the dark? Dorica, I am in the bed. I am in the bed. I don't have makeup or lights. So that is what's happening today. For those of you that are tuning in, I am just tuning in. I am so sorry that you missed the entrance. But yes, I am coming to you guys from the bed. I had a rough weekend, so I'm actually in the bed. I did not get into, usually I come to you from the studio. Tonight, I am coming to you from the bed because I didn't want to miss it, but I also just didn't have the energy to, after everything that's been happening, I just didn't have the issue. Yes, I do want to address that. Daweed said, I'm on Pap's side. Remy's a slob. Pap held you down in prison, went to see you every day for 6 years. You cheat on him. Now he got to find bad boxer who's rapping now. Karma. Um, I don't necessarily want to say Clarissa is rapping. She's attempting to do some things, but I it is, I will say this. Papoose, the Remy did acknowledge that Papoose did come to see her every day. And then she had to tell him not to. She had to tell him to stop. I don't know that that's a healthy relationship. Like, if a man, why didn't he? How was he able to come see her every day? Like, did he not have to work? Was he not? What I mean, how do you just put your life on hold to be at the prison every day? I don't. I'm just saying, as a woman, I would rather you help me take care of my son and look out for him than be coming up to the jail every day. Like, you can't get me out. I mean, what are we doing? We don't need to be there every day. But yeah, it's kind of strange, and I just thought we should chat about it as a family. I don't. I don't believe personally that relationships, that the dynamic is off work. I believe if one person is super successful and the other person is not, and they're just running behind the other person trying to keep up, I think those relationships are really bad. I don't think those work. So I don't think you should worship a person. I think you should love your spouse. I don't think you should worship them and make them like your everything. I think that's always a recipe for disaster. And I don't think that's healthy. So Papoose needs to get something going for himself. I don't necessarily know if it's good for him. I mean, this girl, Clarissa, she's got a career and she's got stuff going on. He gonna end up being her assistant. Like, Papoose, you just need to focus on you. And, Remy, may a lot of times people are not grateful for you holding them down. That goes both ways, women and men. So, um, hey, and we also just don't know what was going on behind closed doors. We know they were trying to make things look a certain way, but we don't really know what was going on behind closed door. But what we do know is it all had came out this past weekend. Also, last point on this, Remy Ma accused Papoose of being physically violent towards her. And those type of allegations are so dangerous because if someone decides to say something that's not true, it can really destroy someone's livelihood, right? But then sometimes the person is telling the truth and we need to, that needs to come out. So we don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea, what if it's true or not. What I would say is I would hope that Papoose would not put his hands on Remy Ma because I don't know if he could win that fight. Um, if not physically, I mean, she definitely is good with a gun. So he would definitely have needed to be careful with that. But I don't know. I definitely know he should not try to put his hand. If he did put his hands on Remy, we don't condone that. But I would suggest he not put his hand on Clarissa because she could definitely um whoop his ass. So let's just, he likes women that can fight. He has a type. He has a type. Papoose has a type. Um, yeah. And so that is all I'm going to say about that. We're going to move on tonight. I talked a little bit. I did miss Friday night because of everything going on. So Scorpio Mo and I will be back this Friday with all the Love and Marriage Huntsville drama. But I talked a little bit about the Jamie Foxx special, the Netflix special, this past week when Mo and I were together. And I want to talk a little bit more about that today. First off, I love the special. I thought it was very touching. I just want to be honest with you guys. I am going to give you a spoiler alert if you have not watched it. He does not explain exactly what happened. He does acknowledge that he had a stroke and he had a brain bleed. He does not explain what happened to cause that, right? That may be none of our business, right? And I get that. Jamie Foxx is a big star, but it's not necessarily our right to know how he ended up, in the situation. He was in a coma for 20 days. So he is definitely very blessed to be here and to be alive and to be able to talk and joke and be the same Jamie Foxx that we remember. He looked exactly the same. He addressed all the foolishness of people saying that he was a clone. And, I thought that was amazing that he actually addressed the rumors because I think sometimes when people are putting things on social media, they don't realize that celebrities are really just people with a different job. Can I say that again? Celebrities are people with a different job. So you have nice celebrities, you have asshole celebrities, you have silly, they're just people with just a different job than you and I have. So it may not necessarily be our business to know exactly what happened to him, but we do, yes, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, African. So he did acknowledge that there was something happened when he was on set. He said that he had a headache or didn't feel well, asked for some aspirin. Friend didn't have it. He ended up kind of becoming incoherent. His sister took him to the hospital. He praised his sister. He praised Piedmont Hospital, which is here in Atlanta. And he spoke very highly of the hospital. Just myself thinking as a PR person, I was like, if I was on the PR team and marketing team for Piedmont, I would definitely be finding a way to leverage that to our benefit. But he gave so much praise for Piedmont. He also credited his religion and his faith in God for pulling him through, which I loved hearing. His daughter introduced him, his oldest daughter, who was married, who he was able to, part of his um, desire to get his health back was wanting to walk her down the aisle. He was able to do that. He showed a picture of that. His youngest daughter was there and played the guitar for him. And with him, they performed together. It was beautiful. I was in tears as well. Um, he even addressed the fact that people thought he was a clone. He addressed the fact that people thought he was involved with Diddy. Ironically, he kind of threw Diddy under the bus, which was interesting to me. He said that he kind of saw the light and he felt like there was like darkness pulling him, and like it ended up being, he was like, I kind of thought I saw the devil, or was that Diddy, right? And it was kind of like, oh, and he was like, and I don't, baby oil. He made a little baby oil joke, but the thing about it, if he was cool with Diddy, I don't think he would have done that. That's strange to me. That was definitely a red flag that there's something there, because I have been to parties in LA and New York with Jamie Foxx and Diddy, and they were partying together. Now, I didn't see anything that was, to be nothing wrong. Like there was nothing. I was not at a freak off or anything like that. But I have been at an after party for an event, and the two of them were both there, and they were both partying. So I don't know what happened that caused him to say that, but that's definitely not something that was by accident. Um, I also thought this was weird, and I saw this and I wanted to share this with you guys. So, you all remember, those of you that are like myself and are of a particular age, you remember Martin Lawrence, who I think is hands down the funniest comedic, television comedic television comedian, as far as like in a series, not stand up, but in a series. Martin's hand down the funniest one, Martin Lawrence. And I don't think people give him his flowers. But you guys remember when he went through that thing, like he passed out. I think he had a stroke, and he was like running around, kind of like lost his mind for a minute, like running around in a in a trash bag, sweat. It was just weird. It was very bizarre. You guys remember that? If you remember, put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat if you remember. Back in the day, Martin was the biggest thing on television. He was in movies. He was doing Bad Boys. He was doing all this stuff. And then he seemed unstoppable. And then all of a sudden, he had this breakdown, this mental breakdown. And he never really became the same after that. He was never really the same after that. It was always kind of like a little bit of he just didn't seem the same, at all. So afterwards, Martin had this special. Okay, you were still a child. Hey, you heard, okay, girl, but we're giving you the history. Thank you, guys. Design. It's okay with the young babies, the younger people listening. We're just giving you the history lesson. So Martin was one of the biggest comedians, and he was like, how Kevin Hart is on the status now. Martin was like that, and all of a sudden, he kind of had this freak out situation. We didn't know what was happening. And then he came back and did this special called Run Tell That. The special called Run Tell That was kind of like what had happened was, because Martin came out and he just owned up to everything. And he explained that he lost his mind. And this was Martin. And he is in the same outfit as Jamie. That's weird. That's weird. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. You guys, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm going to show that. Okay. Now, if you go back, for those of you like, hey, and you watch Run Tell That. The title there is Run Tell That. And it was like, he was saying Run Tell That because he was like, people were talking all this stuff about him, and he was going to tell you the truth. Kind of like what had happened was same exact thing. And they wore, one more time, they wore the same outfit, even down to the chain. Leather, a chain, same thing. So I don't know. I just want to tell y'all that. I just want to share that. Just is super weird to me. I don't think that's a coincidence. Biggest, comedians, Dave Chappelle had a breakdown, went away, came back. It wasn't we don't know that it was a sickness, but we knew that he kind of like said he lost himself, had to go away. But Martin had like a physical health scare. And and then he came back and he talked about it in this comedy special. And then Jamie Foxx did the same thing. It's kind of strange. Also, a few days that so Jamie had this huge comedy special which she taped here in Atlanta a few months ago. It comes out. People are really. He's gotten already 2 Golden Globe nominations for that special, and then he's in like one of the very posh restaurants eating, and someone throws something at him and hits him in the face, and he actually gets into a fight, and he's taken out, and then he had to get he was hurt so that he had to get stitches. So that was a very intentional thing. We don't know what that is. Um, we don't know who the fight was with. We do know that he got into a fight and went back to the hospital and had to get stitches. So something is weird. Something in the milk ain't clean. Back to what we were talking about earlier, Hollywood has a lot of consequences that we don't know anything about, and we need to steer clear of. But I do think that's very ominous that he would wear that. And I don't know if he was trying to pay homage to Martin. But that's very strange to me. That's very strange. And I do think that fame and the things that come with it as we're learning, it looks like 2025 is going to be a year of education when it comes to more things behind the velvet rope. I just think that it's probably a lot more than we can imagine. So I'm definitely not. I think we should not put people on the pedestal, period. But that is definitely, there's a price for fame. Let's just say that. Now, I do want to say that it was hilarious that Jamie mocked Cat Williams and he sounded just like Cat Williams, because Cat Williams kept saying, what is this? Jamie Foxx had a mystery illness. Well, he said that, and Jamie said maybe it was. Cat was just being honest, because we know Jamie's family did not want to acknowledge that he had a stroke. And I understand that, because you don't want people to look at you a certain way. But we knew most people knew that it had to be a stroke or a heart attack, right? Nothing does that besides those two things. So it's really none of our business. But I do think when you share so much, you got to know that people are going to expect you to continue doing that. But Jamie addressed that. Now, Cat Williams has said Cat Williams has implied that he is returning to Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay at the top of January. I don't know if he is, but I don't know if we can handle it. I don't know if we can handle more truth, more of Cat Williams' truth. I don't know, but I will be tuned in if so, and we will talk about it afterwards. Fair? Is that fair? Because we'll definitely be talking about it afterwards. Okay. So moving forward, we talked a little bit about Jamie Foxx and Martin Lawrence, which is strange. Definitely talked about initially. What did we talk about initially? Jesus Christ, what was our first conversation about? Jeez Louise. You guys, this has been Remy Ma and Papoose. Okay. So thank you guys, design. So moving forward, I want to give you guys an update in the Jay-Z case. A couple of things. First, we talked last week about the fact that this young lady came out and said that Jay-Z had raped her along with Diddy, and Rock Nation, who's Jay-Z's company, came out with a statement allegedly from Jay-Z, or suggesting that it was from Jay-Z. A letter. We read that, went over that last week. Since that time, the young lady has recanted her story and has said that she made a mistake. Very strange. Now, you guys know that Jay-Z's lawyers said they were going to be very aggressive, and so they were going to prosecute, at the fullest extent, because this was a lie, and it was not. They didn't take that lightly, which I think is 100% right. If someone lies on anyone and accuses you of something that horrible, I do think you have a right to persecute them. I do think we have to keep in mind, and we don't know, people are innocent until proven guilty. However, for someone to recant their story that quickly, within a week, and we are dealing with people that are very powerful and also very influential, and Um, I don't know. That's just very strange. Now, the young lady, we don't know. We just don't know. We don't know. Very strange. So either she was lying initially or she's lying now. The story seemed a little off-putting to me, and I saw a clip where 50 Cent was saying that it seemed very strange. People asked him, he's doubled down on his um, feelings about Diddy, but he said he wasn't sure about Jay. I think most people are not sure, when it comes to Jay-Z, because he definitely was not as flamboyant and, was not as open and braggadocious as Diddy about, some of the things that he was doing or may not have been doing. I don't want to say that because I don't know. We don't know. But what I do want to say is that for her to either she was lying then or she's lying now, we don't know. But an interesting thing that 50 Cent said is that, he was very skeptical of people that remember stories from 50 years ago, 20 years ago, right? And I wanted to share this. I was talking to a friend of mine that's a journalist, and I think there's two things because I hate that as well. We all hate to hear someone come out with a story 20 years later. The ladies that had issues with Bill Cosby, some of them were like 20, 30 years ago. Like, come on. But that law was put into place that you could not accuse someone 20 years later because of the Catholic priests. And so many Catholic priests were being sexually abusive to young children. And then when the children were older and actually able to speak up for themselves and actually, dealing with the pain and the trauma of what had been done to them when they were young, they tried to put it to where the statute of limitations would no longer let them prosecute. So, you have to think about the fact that if something happens to someone when they're a child and they're not able to stand up for themselves, and allegedly in this situation, the young lady was 13 years old, it is not difficult to believe that a 13-year-old would not speak up for themselves. Um, it is also strange and very difficult to believe that a 13-year-old would be able to be at a party after hours like that. So that's a whole problem. But I'm just saying, as far as like victims that come out and speak up late, it's mind-boggling if you've never been a victim, right? But I was telling this friend of mine, I had a situation where um, I was put in danger when I had gone through some bad things. I was a lot younger than I am now, a lot younger. Totally different person at that time in my life, and that Christal might not have stood up for herself. This Christal would. So if that person that did this to me was seen publicly out, say he won the lottery and he was, being celebrated, or he was, became a big movie star, and I had to see that, it would make me feel some kind of way. Now, I don't know if I would talk about it. I don't know. But what I do know is that Christal is not the same as this Christal, right? Because this Christal is a lot more self-assured and it's not a victim. And that Christal had just, gone through something very traumatic and was a lot younger and was not sure of herself and was easily pressured and manipulated. This Christal is not that way. So you never can judge someone based on the time period because we don't know. We haven't walked in that person's shoes. So I just wanted to give you guys some food for thought. I don't know what's going to happen with the situation with Jay-Z. It may go away. I assume that it will go away because she's publicly recanted a lot of her story. Which is very sad. If she was lying and initially, I think she needs to go to jail. I think any women that come forward and lie on a man to get money in a civil suit and take the risk of destroying that person's career and their family, and they need to go to jail. They need to go to jail. But in the same token, any person that has victimized and brutalized and abused someone, just because it happened 20 years ago does not mean that they should not have to pay the price. So that's where I'm at with that case. I just wanted to give you guys an update that the tables have turned tremendously. But when there's power involved, that is just, that is not shocking to me at all, that would be a change in heart, because you just never know. That's one of the reasons I think Diddy has been denied bail, because they're afraid that if he were out, he would be pressuring and a lot of victims would recant their story. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope that It is not true. I hope that that did not happen. But I just think that you just don't know from what a person says. It could either she was lying either then or now. We don't know which. We don't know which. Um, moving on. That was Jay-Z. We're going to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville on Friday, and there's so much going on that show. Carlos has really just locked in to an amazing, just the messiest thing ever. I did write an article for Collider, and I have another one coming out that says it's time for a Love and Marriage Huntsville recast. And I still believe that. I think at this point, the way that this show is playing out, there is just no way, in my opinion, for it to continue with the cast the way it is. Melody doesn't fit in the cast. She fits as a producer and maybe someone that is developing talent for another show or maybe needs to be on another show. I think that she could do, Real Housewives, maybe your Real Housewives of Alabama or something. I don't know. Maybe she needs to come to Atlanta. She just doesn't fit that show anymore. The way she is playing these people and doesn't take them seriously and is making fools out of them is unbelievable. It's just not going to work. Like, they can't go back. We cannot dial back the hands of time. I will also say, it is a real soap opera. What's up, Scorpio Mo? At this point, Marceau and Tish, like, it just, I just don't, I just want to recast. I want to start over. I want to start over. I think we should start over because the way that they're doing basically Love and Marriage Huntsville is love and it's not love and marriage, it's something else. It's dysfunctional love and dysfunctional marriages, love and broken marriages, love and effed up marriages. Like, it's just not love and marriage. They're going to have to do something different. The whole Trish, and we're going to get into it. I don't want to talk too much about it today because Mo and I are going to get into it. But Trish interview with me after I saw her conversation with Melody, I realized that she lied 100% to me and probably to the audience. Which is fine. She doesn't owe me the truth at all. But she did lie. And it is not love. It is definitely not love. Oh, my honey bunny has brought me. Babe, would you like to say hi? Say hello.
Hello.
No, come and say hello. I told him I was coming from the bed. I'm coming live from the bed.
Hello.
Oh, he brought me dinner. So thank you, babe. You guys, it's been rough. It's been rough. So I'm not gonna hold you all too much longer. Hate and frenemies. For real. It's not, it's just not, it's not working. Lust and jump off. So let's come up with some names for Friday for the show, because it's not Love and Marriage. I don't see any love. And I damn near don't see any marriage. I mean, across the board, Kimmy and Maurice. Did you guys see how Maurice talked to her after he got his DUI? Even Maurice and Marceau, brothers, and Marceau is making fun of the fact that his brother got a DUI, calling it a DUI. Like, that's weird. Hey, Latanya, miss you too. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the love. You guys are I had to come on. I was like, you know what? I don't feel good. I'm going through it, but I think I'll feel better if I come on and talk to my family. And I definitely do. I definitely do. But yeah, I don't see any love anywhere in that show. I don't want Sonny back. How do you come in as a producer, get with the guy that dated the girl that you were producing, and then end up with a spot on the show? Like, God don't like ugly, and neither do fans. I mean, fans like it for a little bit, but it gets old quick. Thank you, Joda, because I don't feel good. I have no makeup, and I feel bad, and I don't have lighting, but we're here. But I don't want Sonny back. I don't think, and Moses is in jail. Do you guys realize that when they were at that field game, Destiny had just been arrested? I didn't realize the timeline. Destiny had just been arrested. Martell had been arrested and let go. I mean, all of them were let go, but Destiny, Martell, and Maurice and Moses have all been arrested. Moses is still in jail. What is happening? Why have half the cast been arrested? And then Destiny is dating Nell and Chris's son for real. That is weird. I want to recast. I want us to start over. Okay. I want us to start over. Melody and Martell, their marriage breaking up was the the basically the you know how you knock something over, like you have a bunch of dominoes, and it started a domino effect throughout the cast. You remember Lewis and Tiffany, their marriage started messing up on the show. They got off. Stormy and Courtney have left the building. Like it's falling apart. It's crumbling. Huntsville is crumbling. And as much as, I think we need a recast. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you. You should start working. I'm not even leaving the house. You guys, after this whole weekend, I'm chilling. I'm taking a break. I'm going to enjoy. We're going to have a great Wednesday. Dating diaries. We have some great dilemmas. We're going to have a great show on Wednesday, but we are going to be hanging out because I'm just going to take some time, but I did have some time to hang out with Zuri. We took pictures on, Saturday, and I shared a couple of those with you guys. Thank you guys for the well wishes towards Zuri. A lot of people left comments about her videos. But yeah, Love and Marriage Huntsville, we're going to have to change the name. We're going to come up with a new name on Friday. Scorpio Mo and I, and then again, we're talking about dating diaries on Wednesday. But I wanted to come on and give you guys an update on the Jay-Z, share that little dilemma with the Martin Lawrence and Jamie Foxx thing, and Papoose and Remy Ma. It's absolutely crazy. If you get a chance, check out my Instagram page. I've got some great pictures up there from the weekend with Ben Crump and social justice, which was something that felt really, really good. I haven't even got into Married to Medicine and all that. We'll talk about all that later. But tonight we had to talk about Remy Ma and Papoose because, like I said, I did that article and I was just like, what is happening? Cardi B and Offset releasing text messages between the two. These are married people with 3 children. You guys realize that they are sharing information. Like if your mom and dad are having a fight, imagine when we were growing up, if your mom had taken to Instagram and started talking bad about your dad. What? That's crazy. It's nuts. We live in a weird, crazy society. Before we get out of here, I do want to send heartfelt prayers to, there was another school shooting today, and this time it was at a private school. And I just, as I was watching the news this morning, I was just like, we've got, hopefully we are going to be moving into a better direction as a country. I don't know. We need lots of prayer. We need lots of love, not the kind of love on Love and Marriage Huntsville, but there was a school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin today. And I don't know if any of the XO family, if you guys are watching this on the repeat and you were in that part of the country, but we just want to send love and prayers to the victims. There were 5 people killed and 5 people injured, and a private Christian academy at that. My son teaches at a private college in Michigan, and I just can't imagine, it's just, I can't imagine having a child or having a child that's a teacher, at a school at this point. It's a sad day when you can't send your child to school in the morning without being afraid if they're going to be killed by another student, So, my goodness. So anyway, I just wanted to say that, and you guys, please send prayer to those people, and hopefully we can find some resolution as we move forward as a country of how can we keep our babies safe, because this is not going to work. This happens in the United States every few months. There's a school shooting, and we don't ever want to hear of mass shootings anywhere, but in schools it's just particularly heartbreaking. And like I said before, Every time my husband goes someplace, people say to him, "Thank you for your service." But I think we should treat teachers the same way, because what they do is so important, and they should not feel threatened, that their lives are threatened, by the students, or by other people. It's really unfortunate. And so I just wanted to bring um, some words of, um, I guess, encouragement, and send our condolences to the families in Madison, Wisconsin, and to tell you all that regardless of what you're going through, God is bigger than your problems. You are bigger than your problems. And I'm reminding myself of the same thing. You all, please send love to my family, my little ones that have lost their grandfather, and like the patriarch of that family, who was absolutely amazing. But um, I just am going to keep them in prayer and just keep loving on them, and just let them know that they have some hard days ahead, but such is life, but we will always get through it. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. Thank you so much for making me feel better on today. I'm going to get off of here, eat my dinner, and then wake up for another day. But I thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. I will not be in the bed on Wednesday. A girl's not gonna sit down too long. She gonna get back up. We're gonna be back on Wednesday. But it was great being able to hang out with you guys today. I love you guys for watching. We'll do some updates. Next Monday, we'll be back. Pop Culture Power. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday for Dating Diaries. And Friday, Mo and I will break down and rename. We will rename as a family, Love and Marriage Huntsville, because this is not going to work. All right. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Love you. Bye-bye.